Or the eye movements with, I am safe.
I am safe.
I am safe. Or I can trust myself to know when I'm unsafe, and I have tools and I know how to get myself to a safe place. Right?
Yes.
That's a big piece for a lot of people. It's not
Huge.
just like, oh, I can think about this memory now without falling apart.
Right.
But it's, I'm integrating it, this new narrative, this new belief about myself, about the world, about others, that impacts you in a positive way for the rest of your life.
Right.
No one wants to, think they're unsafe or that they're responsible for the rest of their life. It doesn't matter how desensitized the memory is.
Right.
So that's a really important part of it. Is
it reconnects you to yourself.
For some people, it's connecting to themselves for the first time.
Yeah. And that's the crazy piece.
For some people, it really is. It's, they'll start out saying, I'm processing this one memory. And I, let's say I'm not good enough or whatever is the belief that we target. When they get to the end, they're like in tears. They're like, for the first time in my life, I feel it in my bones that I'm good enough. And I didn't realize how much that came up in other areas of my life, even if it wasn't in their relationship, like outside of their marriage or a relationship. So that's a really beautiful part of it. It's not just good for like one specific event or something like that, but it really can help change your mindset, reconnect you to your body, and build confidence that you will have the skills, resources, tools to cope psychologically, emotionally, mentally with challenges in the future.
Right. Now, what are some red flags that you would tell a patient that's maybe just coming out of a traumatic experience but has done EMDR, and you and this person, he or she, feel ready to be propelled back into the dating world? What are some red flags that you would suggest they look for when they start dating again, whether it be triggers and how do they handle that when they feel it coming on? Because it is very all-consuming and overwhelming. I've experienced that. What are some red flags you tell them to look for when it comes to dating and being in the dating world again?
I think most people are probably going to expect me to say, like, what are some red flags in others when you go out on dates? There's definitely significance to that there's a place for that. You should have your own list of, red flags in other people.
Right.
Coming out of therapy and EMDR, what's more important is when you are ready to start dating again or enter a relationship, you need to be so connected to yourself that within the first few minutes of meeting someone for the first time, you're aware of like your gut instinct or how you feel or what is going on internally.
Right.
To me, those are more things you want to pay attention to in terms of like red flags. If you have feelings that you're more nervous than you actually would be in the past, and you're like, I've dated before, I've never been this nervous,
Right.
Kind of being able to say, is this my authentic, normal, typical type of nervousness, or something feel different about this? Like that's something to be curious about.
Right. So being more cognizant of like how you're feeling in these moments and paying attention to it.
Yeah. And in terms of, I think you mentioned triggers.
Yes.
If you start dating again and let's say someone says something or they have a tone in their voice or they look a certain way.
Yes.
And you find yourself like kind of cringing, paying attention
Getting
to that. Getting the ick. Paying attention to that, trying not to be too judgmental about it in the beginning.
Right.
But give yourself some time later when, the interaction's over to kind of really reflect on that. Right? And I'm not the type of therapy I practice and I utilize. I'm not a huge fan of teaching people how to avoid their triggers.
Right.
Unless it's safety related, like safety concerns are there. But, I'm really direct and I say, you're gonna get triggered.
Yes.
You can't avoid your triggers.
No.
Learning how to cope with them in adaptive ways is a skill. Hopefully you feel like you've gotten stronger at throughout the EMDR or therapy process.
Right.
If you feel like you're getting back out there in the dating world and you find yourself feeling really triggered often.
Too soon.
Not necessarily too soon, but often, then I would say maybe take a step back, take a pause, a break.
Okay.
and get to know, like, what is it about these triggers? Like,
Right.
why am I still having a hard time identifying them?
Right.
Or am I putting myself in situations where I might be more vulnerable to being triggered? Like, let's say, you know, if you have a type that you're attracted to.
Yes.
And that ended up being something that contributed to the demise of the relationship,
Right.
so to speak.
Right.
Knowing that going in. So if that's a vulnerability, but you're still attracted to this person, you know, how they look or strong or whatever it is, that's a vulnerability for you. And kind of being honest with yourself and saying, okay, am I going to continue? Is that still really, really what I want? What's
Right.
best for me?
Right. Hasn't worked in the past. Should I change it up a little bit
Yeah.
and try something
Yeah.
that maybe is a little bit uncomfortable? Because I think sometimes when we go for something that we are attracted to, but it hasn't worked in the past, unfortunately that attraction brings comfort. But I've noticed that if you push yourself out of your comfort zone and you give somebody a chance that maybe wouldn't be your normal type, so to speak, it may just work out.
It does. And part of that is really hard for us as humans. Things that are unfamiliar
Yes.
are not comfortable.
Right.
You know, evolutionarily, that's keeps us safe.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yep.
But being able to know that if I'm uncomfortable, if I feel nervous, if I'm scared,
Yeah.
but I can assess the situation and say, like, I actually am safe. I actually am okay. What's this about?
Right.
Oh, I'm in a position or situation that I'm not usually in. I've pushed myself a little bit. Right? And so that
Yes.
can be a really great opportunity to learn about yourself.
Right.
Like, oh, I used to be attracted to this particular thing. And it brought certain things out in me
Yes.
that I liked.
Yes.
Right? If I'm attracted to, I don't know, I'm being stereotypical, but like a hyper masculine male. And what I liked about that was that it helped me feel safer,
More feminine
softer,
energy, softer,
feminine.
yes.
I could kind of feel like I wasn't on alert or had to plan everything or whatever.
Right.
Take that knowledge, that's good for you. That doesn't mean, or that's important for you, doesn't mean you have to end up with a hyper masculine guy in order to access those parts of you that maybe you're craving or you miss.
Yep. No, it's really interesting because just through the process of dating since I've been divorced, it's been very eye-opening because the things that I maybe hadn't noticed in the past stand out to me so quickly. And it's from the EMDR. Because I feel so connected to who I am now and knowing what I need and not what I want. And I think it comes down to now I know what Lauren needs and not what Lauren wants but doesn't need. And I think I had to come to that realization and be realistic and say, maybe these are things you want, but these are things that aren't working for you because this isn't what you need. You need X, Y, and Z.
Can I ask you a follow-up, if you'd be willing to share a little bit? Like, could you give me an example of you knowing this is what I need, but also having at some point that want coming up? Like, how do you manage that?
It's tough because I think I've always gone for the very, kind of like, I don't want to say peacock personality, but someone that everybody loves.
I don't think I've heard that before. What is a peacock
like
personality?
someone that just walks into a room and, loves all the attention and is just the peacock. Like
big energy?
Big energy.
Or everyone turns and looks at them? Okay.
Charismatic.
Okay.
I found that for a number of years to be really attractive.
Okay.
And what I've realized is sometimes people that are like that expect you to show them that same kind of attention 24/7 all the time. And in a romantic relationship, it can't just always be one-sided. It's like, I need your attention too. It can't just be me filling your cup all the time.
Or being in the shadow.
Or being,
yeah.
Exactly.
Celebrating you being the focus.
Yes. Yeah. And so I've come to the realization, also realizing that I am a little bit of an alpha female. I was raised by a very strong mother and strong father. But I've also come to the realization that I need somebody that's kind of going to be the yin to my yang and not be maybe that strong masculine energy.
Yeah.
I need someone that allows me to be in my masculine energy when necessary and doesn't make me feel bad about it and doesn't try, tearing that down. or changing that about me?
It's so interesting you are speaking to that, because I would say in the last couple years, I see more heterosexual couples where that's the case. And it's a beautiful balance where they are these, these couples that come in and it's the alpha female and these kind of soft spoken, totally confident, quiet, confident guys.
Oh my gosh, you took the words right out of my mouth. All my friends always say to me, Lauren, if we could build you a man, I say quiet. That is the first thing I say, quiet confidence.
Quiet confidence.
It's so secure, attractive to me now.
Secure. Yes. They're not, their masculinity doesn't, or their egos don't get bruised.
They're not arrogant.
Really
they're not cocky.
easily.
They're not chauvinistic. All the things.
And they actually, they're attracted to that part of the woman, of their girl, right? And so it's cool seeing that. And those dynamics, they'll come to therapy for whatever issue, but it's still like a really beautiful thing to see, because I don't think we're used to that just in prior generations.
Right.
Women are hear me roar,
There's a shift.
There's definitely been a shift. And, the men that can handle it are the ones that are in happier relationships.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to find. I need to find someone that comes up and goes, hey, I got you.
I got you.
That's the biggest thing I need is, hey, I got you. Not, you're too strong, you're too sensitive, you overanalyze, you're too emotional. This is a you problem, this isn't a me problem. Like, those days for me are done.
Well, and what I would say to that is I don't know if we think of it like this, but we do need to feel relatively firm in our individual identity before embarking on like a serious relationship.
I agree.
What you're describing is if someone is threatened by that, or I need you to quiet down, I need you to tone your personality down. They're interpreting your existence as being threatening to them.
Correct.
And like taking away from them.
Yes.
And so that's, to us therapists or psychologists, like we see that as, the person who's finding that so threatening, they've got some identity work to do. You got to strengthen your own identity so that you don't perceive this as taking away from you. Right. Like this person isn't taking anything away from you. You can stand on your own. Hopefully being in this relationship is you walking alongside one another.
Thank you. As a team and not dimming their light because it makes yours brighter.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's actually very promising, to be honest with you, Dr. Chapman, to hear that you're seeing more of this dynamic in your practice, because, I talk to my single girlfriends about this all the time, and I have a lot of very strong, amazingly intelligent women around me, and they're having a heck of a time finding guys that are, like you say, this quiet confidence that just kind of come in and go, hey, I got you, and don't feel threatened by a woman's independence or strength. And, it's promising, because I honestly didn't think that men like that existed in today's society.
They do. Sometimes I've seen sometimes they can be a little like late bloomers, maybe. Okay. A little bit. But we also, I think we go into dating now or relationships now is like, I hear this phrase a lot. It's like, I don't want to settle. And I think that can be really problematic going into dating with that mindset, as if we are bringing all these things and the person that is going to be our partner is either going to lift us up or tear us down, versus seeing it as more of like a unified experience and process. It doesn't mean you should abandon your values, and you're not allowed to have specific wants and dreams for your future. But I do caution people when they say, like, I'll ask, how are relationships or dating or whatever, and they're like, oh, I just don't want, it's fine, but I feel like I would just have to settle. And to me, it's like, okay, there's a little bit too much you in there, and not enough of that mindset of like, someone could actually add things. True. Together we could make each other better. Yes. Not just, I get this checkbox, this, off my checklist. And do they have money? Do they have this? Or they, all of that. But are we willing to grow together?
Thank you.
Are we willing to see our imperfections?
Right.
Are we willing to be human?
Yes.
Not right all the time.
Yes.
Are we willing to say, I'm sorry? That's a big one.
Take accountability for individual actions.
Yes. For a lot of couples, they will come in and I see that they have such a hard time taking accountability for the most simple thing.
Yes.
That you would think, like, why are we even talking about this?
Right.
But again, it feels like if I take accountability for this, then that must mean the other person's right and I'm wrong. And it's not about right or wrong.
Do you even see that the person that's not willing to take accountability maybe wasn't held accountable as a child?
Absolutely.
Does that ever factor in?
Absolutely.
Like someone that doesn't want to take accountability in a marriage is because they were never held accountable as children in their household growing up.
Absolutely. It wasn't modeled for them.
Correct. Yeah.
I think a lot of it's systemic in terms of like, well, you know, as a marriage and family therapist, I look at it as, you know, like your background, your generation, like prior generations, your grandfather's you know, all the way back to those norms. And was anyone ever a cycle breaker, or was this just modeled for you?
Right.
And so if, you know, someone comes in and they do have a hard time taking accountability, or their partner may say like, oh, they're just so narcissistic and this and that, I really try to neutralize those statements, because I think we really we've kind of muddled down the term narcissistic.
It's kind of everywhere.
But helping the person see like, okay, well, they clearly didn't get what they needed back then. Right. The person parenting them didn't get what they needed. Right. There's a whole like history of unmet needs and skills that weren't being you know, taught. Right. But as long as the person or the couple can come into it and say, yeah, these are some of my limitations, and I see where I have a really hard time being accountable because it makes me feel weak, or because it makes me feel I'm in trouble, or because it makes me feel like she's right and I'm always wrong. Like whatever that is, that's where we want to go in terms of the deeper work. Yes. Not just learn to take accountability and your marriage will be better. Like you got to understand, like, why is it so hard? Right. Is it just a skill you never learned, or is there more meaning to it? And usually there's more meaning to it.
What if you're dealing with let's say a couple where, you know, he or she wants to work on things, but the other partner was never raised around therapy and they were dragged to see you, and it's not something they really want to do, but just to maybe shut their partner up, so to speak, they show up to session and they're sitting there looking at you like, you're a therapist, you don't know me, you don't know my background, you probably need your own therapist. I've heard that from so many, not to sound feministic, but I've heard that from a lot of men. You know, I don't believe in therapy because therapists need their own therapists. They're not going to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. So how do you handle that when you have someone sitting in front of you that doesn't trust in what you're telling them and doesn't believe in it because they weren't raised around therapy?
Right. Well, first of all, I hope every therapist who needs a therapist is willing to go see a therapist. I certainly will and do and have for sure. But, you know, I'm not too pessimistic about that. Okay. Because when I see those attitudes from people in the beginning, it's usually coming from a place of fear and uncomfortability. You know, so it can mask itself as like, I don't believe in this. Right. Like, I'm not crazy. No one in my family does this. This is embarrassing that I'm here. But I tend to be able to kind of get through those layers a little bit and develop that rapport. I might suggest like an individual session with that one person who maybe isn't quite as on board or invested yet. Right. But that's just a skill a couples therapist really needs to have, is being able to meet your client where they're at. And if there's 90% of them that's just like, this is bogus, I'm only here because my partner's dragging me, within a couple sessions, I can tell, like, okay, am I getting through to them a little bit? Right. You know, if it's just 1 or 2%. Baby steps where they take something from it, then I build on that and I encourage that, and it can definitely grow. Now, if I've been seeing a couple for a handful of times and it's the same presentation in session, I just call it out. Okay. And I have no problem doing that, but not in a shaming way. Right. It's just a way that, you know, it clearly you're not in this way. This may not be the avenue for you right now. You may be more into reading, talking to friends, going, you know, online forums. Right. But if you're going to come to therapy, it's an investment financially, your time.
Right.
I don't want you to waste your time. You know, you seem to hit a wall. This is probably not going to be a good fit right now.
That makes total sense.
But you're welcome to come back in the future if you feel like you change your mind or you have a new insight.
Yep. Well, I really appreciate you being with me today.
Of course.
And
this was so much fun. I love talking about this stuff.
Oh, I love talking about it too. I mean, I've said from the very beginning of creating this podcast that I so badly wanted to have an EMDR therapist that specializes in trauma be on this podcast. And so to have you here today has been a great, I'm so beyond grateful.
Oh, thank you
to have you here today.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I don't get opportunities like this very often just because as a therapist, I do a lot of I'm not sharing as much. And so it's really rewarding to be able to sit with someone else who I'm not treating.
Of course.
And just talk about these things.
No, I love it.
Hopefully provide snippets of educational pieces and reduce the stigma and, inform the public that there are resources and things out there to help.
Yes, no, I love it. And I think you're probably going to hopefully help a lot of people that are listening to this be a little bit more open-minded to the idea of therapy in general, but specifically speaking EMDR.
Yeah, and if they ever have questions about EMDR, a great place to go is online, EMDRIA.org is a phenomenal organization. It has a lot of information on there, some introductory videos about what to expect, how do you know if you may be a good candidate.
Right.
If you're looking for a therapist, you can always go on, Psychology Today. You can check out, my website, which I'm sure will be linked.
It will, for sure.
If you have insurance, you always advocate for yourself. Ask for a list of providers if it's something you're into. Shop around. It's just because I always tell people, try it.
Yes.
You're not committing for the rest of your life.
Right.
Try it. See how it goes. If you've never done it before, or if you've had a negative experience with someone in the past, or maybe you've never tried a male therapist.
Right.
Maybe you've never tried
Switch
a female.
it up a little bit.
Switch it
until
up.
You find the fit.
Switch it up. You're the consumer. It's okay to shop around.
Well, in therapy, a therapist and patient relationship becomes very intertwined. It's very important that you feel, again, safe and comfortable when you're opening up and being vulnerable with a therapist. So
it is
finding the right fit for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
At all.
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of it. To any women that are listening that have gone through traumatic experiences, I advise you, please be open-minded to it. Please try it because it's life-changing.
It is. And I had to be on the receiving end of it just for a little bit during my training. And I have to tell you, it works.
It does.
It really, really works.
It does. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks.